PGR drenches are an effective way to control growth in your crops, but you do run into issues with over or under applying PGRs without following set protocols. Many growers like to follow the rule of applying 1 fluid ounce per 1 inch of diameter in pot size, and while this may work for some of our smaller common pot sizes like a 5 or 6 inch, it doesn't work as well when you start getting into larger container sizes. This is because the volume of larger containers increases exponentially compared to our smaller container sizes. For instance, if you're looking at a larger container like this 12-inch pot here, it has a much larger volume than some of our other smaller diameter pots. This larger 12-inch container would require closer to 20 to 25 fluid ounces of drench solution. Before getting started with a PGR drench, it's important to look at different resources that are available, including the Grower Talks Annual and Perennial PGR Guide, which can give you some great guidelines and recommendations on a species by species basis for different PGR products to use and different rate recommendations for those species. It's also important to look at the different culture information that's available from the different breeding companies to know what PGR recommendations are already in place for a specific variety. Lastly, it's important to always follow the PGR label and make sure you read it thoroughly to see if there's any restrictions or limitations for a particular variety or species with a given PGR. Lastly, for mixing PGRs, if you need assistance with getting your mixing rates right, there's a lot of great resources online, including the PGR Mix Master app from eGrow. If you're new to PGR drenches or are drenching a new crop that you haven't drenched before, it's important to consider doing a small trial on a subset of your crop so you don't run as much of a risk of accidentally stopping the entire crop. Once you've settled on a particular PGR and application rate, the next step is to actually plan your drench application. It's really important to come in and irrigate your crop thoroughly the evening prior to making your drench application. That way you go into the next day ensuring the plants aren't suffering from any kind of drought stress. Ideally, you should aim to have your substrate moisture at about a 3 to a 4 on the 1 to 5 substrate moisture scale. Many growers choose to make their PGR drench applications in the morning when environmental stress levels are lower, there's less sunlight and less heat that's built up in the greenhouse at that time. Doing your applications in the morning also allows the plants to dry down a little bit before going into the evening. When you start your drench, it's important to make sure that you're applying the same volume to every pot. One way that can really help you to do this is by using a pitcher to time how long it takes you to fill a certain amount of volume. So basically you can do a mental or verbal count to know how long it takes for your hose to deliver a set volume, and that way you know exactly how long you should spend on each pot. If you're irrigating with drip irrigation, one thing that you can do is to place a pitcher under one of the drip emitters to gauge how much water is being delivered. And once you've reached your intended volume, then you can turn your drip irrigation off. If additional irrigation is required within 24 hours, make sure that you're not leaching any of the PGR drench solution out of the substrate. For additional questions on PGR mixing, rates, and application methods, please feel free to reach out to the Ball Seed Tech team.